What is up, and welcome to Ask DLF. This is Taco Tuesday, Waffle Wednesday. It is just depending on whether you are in the United States here or you're one of our Australian friends enjoying their waffles on a Wednesday. And Tyler is on assignment, as we talked about, as you probably saw on Twitter. And I'm here with Addison, and I got no green screen for the first time here, Addison. Trying out a new camera, so if anything wonky happens, just let me know.
All right, now you're looking pretty good already. I like it a lot, so we should be all right.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So, yeah, how was your weekend?
It was good. I went to the Little League World Series. I'm going again tomorrow because Hollidaysburg is still going. So we're out here. We're enjoying it.
Love it. Keep it going. Yeah, I had a team here just not that far from where I am that won the Little League World Series, and it's been a cool story ever since. And my oldest son is playing against some of the guys that were on that team, which is pretty cool. So
nice. Well, I'll
we've got something brand new today, Addison. So like, not only is it like just me and you, which is cool, but like, you know, we're going to miss Tyler, and Tyler's okay. He's taking a much needed, much well-deserved break, but we are going to have a different sponsor for this show. This is the very first time we've done this here on Ask DLF. So want to let everybody know that this episode is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy, and it's the easiest way to play fantasy sports, especially now that it's legal here in Louisiana, which has been great. Last year, it was not, so I had to go to Florida when I was evacuating for a hurricane, but I racked up what I was, and I can't remember if I doubled or tripled my earnings there in best ball. But look, if you're watching this show, like, you absolutely know enough to get in there and mix it up. Like, you can play this best ball. You don't have to set any lineups. If you've never played Underdog before, now's like the perfect time to try it out. You can sign up. This is an unbelievable deal, honestly. You can use the promo code DLF. You deposit a minimum of $10, but up to $100. You start playing daily fantasy, pick 'em player props, or season-long best ball, including their world-famous Best Ball Mania 3, with $10 million in prizes, including $2 million to the winner, looks like. Underdog will also fully match your deposit up to $100. So you deposit $100, enter the code DLF. They're going to match that $100, and that's not it. There's more, Addison. Believe it or not, you get a free year of DLF Premium subscription with that $10 deposit. So, man, that is like an unbelievable deal. You guys need to make sure that you're doing that. And Underdog, it really is fun. It was fun for me to go check it out. Have you played a lot of Underdog?
Yeah, I did a little bit back in when I lived in Wisconsin and stuff, because sports betting wasn't legal in Wisconsin, but Underdog was. So I was messing around with some player props and stuff in season, because that's another thing too. You got best ball now, but in season you can do the player props, you can do pick 'em games, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of stuff, not only just now with best ball, but also during the season too, to get involved with. So it's really, really fun. And it truly is the easiest way to play. Like, it's super simple just to get in there, do what you got to do, and win some money.
Absolutely. And all you have to do is click the link in the description below, sign up, visit underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code DLF when you sign up. And if you're an existing member, by the way, you get an additional year added to your membership. So
yes,
you get something there too. So, but this show is not best ball. We're talking Dynasty. And we are, like, if we were ever going to have a show where you guys could ask us like literally anything and we could go off on tangents, this is probably the one to do it. Because I think me and Addison have that in us here, where we could just get off talking about Marvel or something for a little while. But yeah, feel free to ask us whatever. But we are here to talk about your Dynasty Fantasy Football questions. And it's getting close. We got 2 weeks of preseason in there. Alex chiming in here and says, happy Tuesday guys. Happy Taco Tuesday, I think you mean. And he has a question. Thoughts on Romeo Dubs? So, no, not Dubs. I like to call him Dubs, but it's Dobbs. Excuse me.
Yeah.
What would you sell him for, and what price are you buying him? Are you seeing that he's actually getting very much like, I feel like his price was higher a week ago?
It potentially might have been, then maybe cooled off a little bit, even though he scored again this past weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's still chugging right along. And I've seen very recently that a second round pick is kind of the current price for him, a 2023 or 2024 second round pick. And to be honest with you, I think I'm willing to pay that because I think Dobbs is legit. And it may, you may be happy with him while he has Aaron Rodgers. Then we'll see what happens post Aaron Rodgers, maybe in a year or two or whatever. But I think Dobbs is a legit wide receiver. I mean, he's been torching all of the Packers like main cornerbacks as well, not just the backups, but the starters. And he's been doing it every day at practice. He's been doing it now for 2 weeks in the preseason. I think this dude is legit, and I think you'd be kind of foolish to sell now for a profit based on what you acquired him for, unless it was like a first round pick, or maybe if it was like a couple seconds, I might get in on it. But if it's just one future second, I'm in on buying Dobbs for sure. And I actually offered in my home dynasty league, I offered the guy who has him, Tony Pollard, for Dobbs and Cole Kmet, non-tight end premium. So that was rejected. So you can take with that what you will.
Interesting. He graded up pretty well for you, right? Like, like not like in the realm of George Pickens or any of the higher guys, but he was higher than I think initially people like he was going in rookie drafts, if I remember right.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Like he graded up there with Alec Pierce, with Jahan Dotson, and with Garrett Wilson. Though I gave Garrett Wilson a bit of a bump because he was kind of really close on a couple of them, like decimal places close on a couple of the markers that I'm looking at. Right up there with Jalen Tolbert as well, who's also gotten a lot of hype as the Cowboys wide receiver too. So it's not like he just kind of is coming out of nowhere. And he was a 4th round pick, but he as of right now he's showing out, and it's not like we haven't seen day 3 wide receivers do great. I mean, we just saw Amon-Ra St. Brown do it last year, so I think there's not opportunity for Dobbs, and I do think he's legit.
I think he definitely can be. What about Christian Watson showing back up to practice, and some of the comments from Aaron Rodgers about veterans and things like that? We knew he liked veterans, so I think if you're in it, like especially in Dynasty, you're in it for the long haul anyway, right? But you're sort of hoping for a second half, maybe, I think, to be the time where Romeo Dobbs pays off. But I don't know, Christian Watson showing back up. I mean, I don't think you were as high on Christian Watson initially anyway, but I don't know. Like, it was kind of exciting to see him back at practice, at least.
Yeah, I've just never been a Christian Watson guy. If I wanted Antonio Gandy-Golden, I'd take Antonio Gandy-Golden instead. So I've never been a Christian Watson guy. I never understood that. It was all just hype and draft capital. Honestly, was where he was. But again, like we've seen day 3 wide receivers succeed in the NFL, we've seen early round wide receivers fail because they are not actually as good as the prospects as the NFL thought they were. So I think this is another one of the situations, where the second drafted player is actually better than the first drafted player.
It happens more than we like to admit, that's for sure. Alec, sort of confirming what we were talking about or what I said earlier, did 3 trades selling him first at the beginning of the hype and sold him for a 4th and Shakir.
Now I'd be buying for a 4th and Shakir.
If you get him for a first, man, that's incredible.
That is incredible. I would absolutely take that, because then you're for sure almost getting a better prospect anyway, with possibly as good or even better of a likelihood of actually hitting. So yeah, that's an easy sell.
Let's see. So check the private chat there, if you will, and I'll go back. Alec had another second trade, Superflex. Oh, Superflex Triflex. So can start at 3 QBs. I imagine that means Tony, Dobbs, or Dubs, and a 3rd for Gibson and a 2nd. Gibson, man, Goodness gracious.
Oh, this one's tough because I do like Kadarius Toney as a hype player, like as a explosive player with the potential to do a lot. Dobbs, I said, I think is on the path of being legit. It's just Gibson in a sec. Like Gibson overall should be worth more than the entire package usually.
Yeah.
And then some people might say the second is worth more than the entire package as well. But man, I don't know. This one's close. I think I would end up taking Gibson in the second and just hoping that Gibson does something or finds a better situation or anything like that. And the second is nice because it buffers a lot of value and insulates a lot of that too. So I think I would take the Gibson in the second.
Yeah.
I like the other side.
What do you make about Gibson returning the kickoff and then Brian Robinson getting the first carry? Do you like, is this one of those where this is about the point of the preseason where we started to realize what was the Washington running back that ended up starting and being good for like a season? He was like a big fullback.
I see. I can
Somebody
picture him in my
help
head.
me out.
Someone in the chat knows for sure. I see him in my head. I don't remember. We're gonna spend.
I can't think of who it was, but yeah. Anyway, this is a really interesting backfield to watch, obviously, and I think I'm definitely very scared of Gibson. You cannot sell him right now, right? I mean, like, what are you going to get for Gibson?
Well, I mean, if you can pivot off of him and get Kenneth Walker, I'm all in on it.
Sure, but if you got Kenneth Walker right now, any chance that you hit the accept button?
No, definitely not. Gibson's a dead asset. You really can't sell him right now unless somebody thinks that they're getting a value on him. That's right. Not actually value.
One more trade he did, Christian Watson and Dobbs for J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, take Dobbins.
I'll take Dobbins too. Chat saying Alfred Morris, Peyton Barber.
No, yes, that's what it is.
Ed said John Riggins.
Oh, that's going way back. But no, Alfred Morris is who I was thinking about. Appreciate the help there. Yes, nobody believed it up until about this point. And there was like, oh crap, he might really be the starter. Mm-hmm. And he was pretty good.
He was. Hey, we have a super chat real quick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, pull that up.
I got it.
Here we go. Frank chiming in. Appreciate the super chat there. You can always do that, and we get right to your question as you see. Ken Walker or Damian Pierce at 105, knowing what we know now. Interesting.
No. It's Kenneth Walker. The only other running back that I would even consider taking at the 1.05, if it's not Walker or Brees Hall, is James Cook. I'm not taking a day 3 running back in the first round, let alone in the top half of the first round. I get that Damian Pierce looks good and he should beat out Marlon Mack and all that other stuff and blah, blah, blah. But like I said this last week, we literally had a Houston Texans running back go for 1,000 yards 3 years ago. It was in 2019. Carlos Hyde ran for 1,000 yards on 250 carries and was the RB 27. It was actually outside the top 30 in points per game. He averaged less than 10 points per game because he didn't have any passing volume. Unless you want to project Damian Pierce to have some sort of a passing volume, potentially, but I still think Marlon Mack is a better pass catcher, and Rex Burkhead is for sure a better pass catcher. So I'm not really projecting that for Damian Pierce. And it's just, I really just don't understand why people love Damian Pierce so much. Like, I don't really know. Sure, he was underutilized at Florida, but like, I think he's just fine. And I'm not taking him at the 1.05. Kenneth Walker is so much better of a running back prospect with draft capital in a better situation as well. And it's all around is Kenneth Walker.
I feel like all the time we do this, like in the preseason, and then we look back and we're like, why the heck did we do that? Like, last year was Marcus Callaway, where we were super high on him. He was looking great in the offseason. Oh, he's the only weapon there. He's going to start. He's going to get all the targets from Jameis Winston. And yeah, that didn't work out very well once things got real in the real season. And I just wonder, same thing here. Like, Marlon Mack isn't just going away. I mean, I know Marlon Mack isn't like a superstar, but I feel like neither is Damian Pierce. There's a reason he split carries his entire career. And I think that's kind of what we're going to look at here too. Kenneth Walker, on the other hand, I think has like superstar type potential with
Right.
Pete Carroll, who likes to establish the run with anybody up there in Seattle. I think you're playing dynasty. You're not worried about the first few weeks. You're not worried about production right now when you're making these draft picks. You take the better prospect, take Walker. And if that ends up being the wrong move, then that was an outlier, and we don't chase outliers.
Exactly. Amen.
All right. Appreciate that question. Oh, excuse me. Here we go. Let's go. B. Salzburg, 12 team, Superflex, half PPR, start 9, send rookie 106, receive Austin Ekeler or Kamara. My current top 3 running backs are Barkley, Travis Etienne, and Gibson. What do you think?
I'm going to, man. So both of these players, I think, are solid values for the 1.06 in this year's class. If I'm choosing between the two, I'm going to take Austin Ekeler, because he's valued higher than Alvin Kamara right now. B, I think Austin Ekeler has a better chance to outproduce Alvin Kamara right now. And also, there's the possibility that if Kamara is not suspended this year, that suspension goes into next year, and that's just going to hurt his value, his dynasty value moving forward into next year, because as of right now for these running backs at their age, it's really just the production that's really holding them up. As soon as that production starts to wane, their value is going to tank. We've already seen Kamara's value tank pretty significantly already, to where Austin Ekeler is actually still a top 10 dynasty running back because he was just the RB2 in fantasy, and doesn't really seem like anything is going to change, especially in that offense with Justin Herbert and everybody. So I'm going to take Austin Ekeler of the two over Kamara, and you have a pretty disgusting running back core with that addition.
So I'm going to say, okay, but Austin Ekeler last season, I mean, that was obviously it was maybe his best season.
Sure.
Alvin Kamara was in one of the worst offenses he's been in, and still, what he finishes the RB4 or something like that?
Like 7, something.
7, yeah. I mean, it was high, and now you take what should be, on paper at least, look like a much better offense, and you give him an opportunity to have the efficiency come back. I don't know. Like, it seems like Los Angeles is pretty committed to making sure they have an RB2, a consistent one that they can hand the ball to. And like, there's a reason why they keep drafting these running backs and trying to find somebody to shoulder the load a little bit. I'm not sure like that they think that Ekeler can carry the load all the way, right? Like, it doesn't matter if he can or not. Sure. It matters if it seems like they're sending signals that he can't.
Sure. Well, I think the biggest part of what really boosted Austin Eckler's production last year, at least for fantasy, was he scored 20 touchdowns. But like, I'm looking at it right now, and quick mental math, if he loses all of his receiving touchdowns and only had, or I guess if he lost 8 touchdowns and just had 12 total touchdowns, which I think a player of Austin Eckler's caliber with the volume that he gets is very doable for him again.
Mm-hmm.
He would still have been the RB2 over Najee. Yeah. I mean, they would have been like basically tied, but that's how good Austin Ekeler was.
Especially in that offense. And like, I guess, to that point, it was Pete Carmichael as the offensive coordinator there, who was not Pete Carmichael, excuse me. Now it's Lombardi, who came from New Orleans, who was used to dealing with Alvin Kamara.
Yes.
So Randy Watt did 2 trades, fellas. So let's talk about them. Sent Marcus Mariota, got Robert Woods, a 23 third and a 24 first. I'm assuming this has got to be a super flex. Then sent Woods and Pacheco. So these build on top of each other, in a 25 second. So basically, on his roster, he got rid of Mariota and ended up getting Pacheco, a 23 third, a 24 first, and a 25 second. So yeah, congratulations.
How did you get a first for Mariota? Anything on top of that's just gravy at this point.
I don't think. Would you trade Woods for Pacheco in a 25 second?
Probably not, because it was 25. If it was 23 or 24, I probably would. But I don't really think that necessarily matters. But yeah, this is so easily all the pieces that you got anyway, because you were able to successfully sell Mariota and get a 24 first, or any first for that matter. I'd take a 2027 first for Mariota, and just wait that one out. Yeah, this is impressive. Good job, Randy.
Yeah, like that. Did really well. Eric joined Addison in getting a Cooper Cup share. So I must have missed that. Was that on Twitter? You got a Cup share?
No, I really like Cooper Cup, and
okay,
yeah, I'm all in on him.
Well, yeah.
For Dynasty. Sorry, I think he's undervalued in Dynasty still, and
Patrick Mahomes guy is pretty good too. Josh Allen,
yeah, kind of a little bit, yeah.
12 team Superflex acquired Daniel Jones, Cooper Cup, Jalen Waddle for Tom Brady, Deebo Samuel, and T. Higgins. That's a good deal right there.
Wow. Yeah, it's gonna hurt going from Brady to Jones for production, but I was going to say at least you're getting longevity with Daniel Jones, but that might not even be true. But everything else on here, to go from Deebo Samuel to Cooper Cup, I think is great. To go from Jalen Waddle and to T. Higgins to Jalen Waddle, they're basically they seem pretty similar, so that one works out overall. So I do actually really like this trade overall for you to get that side. I wish Daniel Jones was somebody different. Like it could have been Baker, and I would have been happier with it. But
New York Giants fans wish he was somebody different too. Don't worry. Yeah, no, I agree. But Tom Brady, was good to see him back in uniform and practice. Seemed like he was having a good time. So
yeah, he got voted off of The Masked Singer. So
yeah, I guess
see what happens.
Dude, there's no way he can sing. There's no way. Like if it turns out he can sing, I made this joke on Twitter, but like he definitely made a deal with Mr. Anderson and is back in the simulation as the most successful person of all time.
I don't really think you necessarily need to be able to sing to go on there. Terry Bradshaw and Antonio Brown were on that show.
Right, but they were saying like he had to have been not voted off to stay on there, and like that's why he was taking so long.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I guess so. Sean says 12 team Superflex traded Drake London for Tony Pollard and an early 23 first. What are your thoughts? Already loaded at wide receiver. London is one of the few that I wouldn't trade straight up for a 23 first. I think you feel the same.
So I actually asked this question on Twitter because somebody on YouTube posted this comment saying that they would trade London for a 23 first because in Superflex. And this pertains to this league, maybe not in one quarterback, but where would you put Drake London in the 2023 class? Like where would he actually end up slotting in next year's rookie draft?
Yeah, it's I think as a prospect, there's one way to look at it for sure. But I also think like he's going to have a year of being able to prove himself as an NFL player. So I think the way we're going to look at it is going to be different than that. And I would take my chance on going ahead and having him on my team because I do think the upside is there for him to be like the I know Peter doesn't love the term, but the alpha there, right there in Atlanta with him and Kyle Pitts. I know Marcus Mariota isn't inspiring a lot of confidence, but I like the idea of going ahead and getting him. And unless he completely flops, I think his value is going to rise enough that I think, like, okay, as a prospect, but where do you think he gets drafted among 23 wide receivers next year? Like, I feel like there's a good chance he's taken above a lot of them.
So off the top of my head, when I was answering that question, I knew immediately probably 3 quarterbacks would go ahead of Drake London in next year's class. Probably I'd say at least 2 running backs as well. And when I was going through the wide receivers, it's possible that he's like the wide receiver 4 in next year's class. If you take Jackson Smith and Jigba, me, and by me I mean Jordan Addison. So get used to that on this channel. And people really love your hometown, that boot kid or whatever his name.
Oh yeah. He's good, dude. I love him.
So that puts Drake London, wide receiver 4, right? And he might be in the same tier as a couple of those guys, but it's just the probability that if you're taking Drake London as he's the for sure 102 basically right now behind Brees Hall. And so if you're taking him at the 1.02, but there's a probability that you get an equal or better prospect with 9 or 10 of the first round picks next year, like why wouldn't you make that move? And then he also got Pollard on top of it too. And I think especially if it actually is an early 2023 first, like and he gets one of the quarterbacks or Bijan, like that's a win right there. Like you would take, the next Jonathan Taylor over, almost any wide receiver, as long as he doesn't end up being Jamar Chase, but he's not in the Jamar Chase prospect tier and what we expect out of him. So,
well, you take Brees Hall over him even, and I just think it's the extra year, and I guess I believe in him enough that.
Oh, I love him. I think he's a fantastic prospect. I think some people were underappreciating how good of a prospect Drake London was, and is. But I just think that next year's class just has like a whole other group that's all similar or better, to where the probability that you get one of those guys by trading London for a random first now is like, that's a bet I'm willing to make. And then, like I said, plus he got Pollard, so that's great too.
Eric chimes back in here. Who's a player you'd be okay to sell low on, and what would you be okay selling for? Interesting. Who are some sell lows that jump out to you right now?
Antonio Gibson. So sell lows right now. I need to look at ADP real quick just to get Amari Cooper. Michael Thomas. You're not gonna
Amari
like
Cooper. Amari Cooper, Michael Thomas,
Miles Sanders. There's one.
Who's that?
Miles Sanders.
Oh, yes. Hurt again, unfortunately. Hate to see that. What about what about Kenneth Walker? Like, I mean, I guess obviously not based on our conversation before, but I mean, he's low, and I think there are, like, I've changed my mind now where I was taking him over a 23 first. I'm definitely taking the 23 first over him now.
Oh, yeah, no, that's for sure. That's an easy one. The problem with Walker, at least ADP wise, from our new August ADP, is he's kind of like the last young running back that I'm kind of confident in.
Yep.
I mean, AJ Dillon's behind him, but AJ Dillon's 3 years older than Kenneth Walker. And then because you basically go through the whole entire list, you go through the elite aging veterans, like Derrick Henry and Aaron Jones and Alvin Kamara and stuff. Then you hit J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, and then Kenneth Walker. Then you get to Montgomery, Fournette, Zeke, Gibson, Elijah Mitchell, James. Like, all these guys are 3+ years older. And, at any point in time could just fall off in value because their production falls off.
Yeah.
And then even further down than that, you get to CEH and Miles Sanders. So that's like the Kenneth Walker, I feel like, as a whole, just because he's just that, I don't think he goes any lower. And I think he can only get higher. And we just really just kind of need to see him play. Because once he has that first, 18 carries for 95 yards and maybe a touchdown like that, we're going to be like, all right, Kenneth Walker, we remember how good he was at Michigan State. We saw it. We're in. Let's go.
Zeke may be the best example, of someone who I'm willing to sell him pretty low right now. I mean, I get that he could have a good season, but the talk of him being gone next year, like all of that stuff, like I can't. If you have Zeke, you cannot finish this year with him on your roster. Like, you've got to get rid of him.
You have to win if you do.
You got to win, right? Yes,
you literally have to win. Yeah.
Because he's not going to get picked up to be a starter somewhere. I don't think.
Yeah, he'll get Melvin Gordon probably, and go somewhere to be the veteran presence. Worst case scenario is that he gets cut and goes somewhere and ruins a rookie next year, kind of like Melvin Gordon did with Javonte. Like he like he ruins Tank Bisbee for a year or two, or
Oh,
any of those other guys behind Bijan. Like that would be worst case scenario.
Sean says, excuse me here.
We got another
Oh, go
Frank
ahead.
is back in here again.
Man, I'm not
Frank, my
seeing this
man,
pop
thank you.
up. Appreciate that. Clutch right there, Addison. Yeah, Frank, appreciate it. Gibson plus 22,105 gets me which win now running back. All right. Frank's in win now mode. He knows he can't do it with Antonio Gibson.
Does that get you ETN?
No.
That
I
would
don't
be
think
my
it does.
target, and I don't know if that does.
I don't think it does.
So then that
I
means
think
it probably doesn't get you Saquon either.
no, but can it
Their
get
value.
you Austin Ekeler with his age?
Well, somebody was just able to trade the 106 for Austin Ekeler. So if you have the 105 plus, a usable running back in Antonio Gibson, I felt like Tyler there. A usable quote unquote. That might get it done for Austin Ekeler. I would do that.
Or Kamara, I would do that for Kamara. If I was win now, I would do that.
Would you do it for Derrick Henry? Decisions, Cal.
Probably. Yeah, I think I would. I mean, Derrick Henry's going to do good this year. It's just you're buying the rest of his career, and you're basically saying, like, I don't think Antonio Gibson's going to be anything. I don't think this 105 is going to be anything special. So I'll just take the guy that I know is going to have the production, and I'll move forward that way. That to me, that's kind of what you're saying if you make that move. But you're kind of doing that with any of these guys, unless you got like Cam Akers somehow or something like that with some upside.
Do you? Does it get you mixing?
I don't think it does. I mean, that would be to me best of pretty much everything we've said. Maybe
I think my rankings would go ETN, Barkley, Mixon, and then sell out for one of those vets. I think after that it would be Ekeler.
Yeah.
Then I think you can throw Cook in that tier as well. If you can get one of those guys, Ekeler, Cook, Kamara, Henry, I think you can get that done for all four of those. It would just be who you prefer the most out of all of them. But I would try for one of the younger guys first and see what you can get. But
we have so many questions coming in, and I want to get to as many of these questions as we possibly can. Like I'm in it for whatever. We can go as long as we need to right here tonight, Addison. But like I want to talk a little bit about Travis Etienne because there are a lot of people who are nervous about with James Robinson coming back. What does this mean for Etienne? Etienne, I think, am I misquoting it when I say he graded out as a perfect prospect for you, basically? Like he hit all the markers and maybe the best prospect you've graded?
No, I wouldn't put him as best, but he was in the tier. So I don't break it down anything more specific than just like 8 out of 8 markers. Like I don't get into the decimals or anything like that. Gotcha. But he was an 8 out of an 8 prospect, and this is since 2005. Only 8 running backs have done it, including Travis Etienne. Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Joe Mixon, Ezekiel Elliott, D'Angelo Williams, Marshawn Lynch, and Sony Michel is the worst of the bunch.
Sony Michel.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he was close on a couple. He just really got in there. He crept in there.
Wasn't he a Florida guy? Is that why you hate Damian Pierce?
No, Sony Michel was Georgia.
Oh yeah, that's right. I knew it was somewhere there in the SEC. My bad. Sorry, Georgia fans.
But yeah, I mean that's where ETN's grading out at. I do think it is interesting that ETN is valued higher right now than he was before his injury. That one's interesting to me. Maybe it was Urban Meyer. Maybe it was why was he drafted to the Jaguars? I don't know, but people didn't really seem all that confident in drafting him. And now, people apparently love him, including myself. I mean, I love him for sure. I'm not all that worried about James Robinson. At least my projection of ETN was always a Swift or Kamara or Ekeler usage, where he was primarily more utilized as a pass catching back, which is better for fantasy. And then if you got like 150 carries, that would be great. Not that I don't I think that he 100% has the skill set and ability to be a 3-down back like he was
Mhm.
at Clemson, but I just don't know if that's what the Jaguars want to use him as. And James Robinson could just come in and be more of the heavy hitter, on third and shorts, maybe at the goal line, which might hurt Travis Etienne. But I think Etienne is so talented enough to where he's going to be able to transcend a lot of that. Especially for fantasy, if he gets that passing volume, it's going to be great.
Yeah. And Doug Peterson's got a history with using pass catching running backs anyway. So I mean, I think there's a lot to like there. James Robinson can catch passes, but I mean, Ingram could too with Kamara. So it's like, yeah, it's a matter of how efficient he can be. And if he's anything like what we think he's going to be, then I think he could be really good, regardless of whether James Robinson gets work too.
Right.
So,
I think if you're worried about James Robinson for ETN, you should be worried about Jamal Williams for DeAndre Swift. Like that. Like, I don't know if people realize how much volume Jamal Williams takes on the ground, but it's like 170 carries. But DeAndre Swift is a top 5, top 3 dynasty running back, and people just don't care about Jamal Williams. And I think that should be how you view James Robinson, especially after an Achilles injury.
Yeah. Jamal Williams is like the most bland running back right now. Like not like personality, like he's like the one I'd want on this show more than anybody probably. But
yeah.
Like he's not going to break off like a 50-yard run ever.
No.
But he's going to get you what's blocked, and he's going to be his teammates probably love him. His coaches probably love him. But DeAndre Swift's going to catch like 85, 90 passes probably. Maybe upside.
And for fantasy, we love that. And that's what I'm hoping happens for ETN.
Sean, immediately after the last trade, somebody offered me Brees Hall for Pollard and the early 23 first. Early. What do you think?
I'm taking Brees Hall.
Yeah. Eric's with you on that. Still take Brees Hall.
Yeah, I'd roll the dice that it's not early. I would trade London for it, though.
Also, Cooper Kupp and Alvin Kamara or Diggs and Ekeler. Probably Kamara for me here. Easy.
I'm taking Diggs and Ekeler. I just think the difference between Ekeler and Kamara is enough for me here. I don't know if Cooper Kupp is Stephon Diggs. Yeah.
There's just so many weapons in Buffalo that I worry about Diggs' upside, but
Diggs is going to be great. Dude had like 10 more red zone targets than every other wide receiver in the league last year and caught like 4 touchdowns.
Let's go. Let's keep that going. I have so much Diggs.
Yeah, Diggs is going to be great.
Randy wants to know our thoughts on Isaiah Pacheco. We haven't talked specifically about him yet, even though he came up in a question. Already game 1 of CEH's career, 6 goal line carries, 0 TDs. I think he had 4 or 5 goal line carries the rest of his career. Yep, CEH is a bum. I don't think that's true. I see Pacheco or someone else taking his job. So first, before you answer that, like, is there a world in which CEH converts some of those goal line carries and is like a top 5 dynasty running back? Like, I saw somebody speculate on this.
Possibly. So my problem, I'm a staunch defender of the fact that I think Andy Reid utilized CEH wrong on those 6 goal line carries. Because the dude is like 5'9", and you said, I'm going to run it straight up the middle on the 1-yard line. And that ended up not being a good idea.
Not great.
Like, there was no, like, they didn't even try to, like, do a draw. They didn't even try to, like, pitch it to him and let him just beat a linebacker. It was just, I'm going to run it straight up the middle. And I forget who they were playing, but they had a really, was it Tampa?
I can't remember.
Who were they playing? They had a really good defensive lineman. And I'm like,
national television.
Why are you running it straight up the middle? It might have even been the Rams, to be honest with you. It might have been Aaron Donald.
Right, yeah. Let's just run it right at Aaron Donald with our 5'9" running back.
Yeah. So I think that was idiotic, and I gave CH a lot of slack for that. And I do not think Pacheco is taking CH's job. I think Pacheco is fine. I don't think he's anything special. He didn't grade out as anything special for me in my, through my markers. And I think that he just maybe looks better in camp because he's just making flashier plays. But I don't know if that's what makes him better. Darwin Thompson was making flashy plays. Look where Darwin Thompson is right now. I don't think there's anything that Pacheco does that's better than any other running back on that team. I think Jarrett McKinnon is a better pass catcher. I think Ronald Jones is a better rusher. So I just don't think Pacheco is anything special.
He's faster. He's probably the better home run hitter out of everybody, but that only gets you so far. And I think that when you look at you look deep into his profile and all that, like there's a reason why these guys, I mean, I know we all want to think we found like this. Nobody's ever discovered this guy. Like he was been used his whole life in the wrong way. And he's all of a sudden going to get to the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid is going to trust him on third down with Patrick Mahomes. No, that's not happening.
They're not doing, especially in year one with a 7th round rookie. Like the dude was 10 picks away from being undrafted. You know? I get you want to try to find the next Elijah Mitchell, and we're discovering Pacheco weeks earlier than we did Mitchell last year. But Pacheco is not like Mitchell was really, really freaking good in college. Pacheco was not, or at least he wasn't as good. I think that there's just a lot of smoke and mirrors here with Pacheco that I'm like, when I said that Romeo Dobbs, I think is legit, and I'm buying for a second, any second for Pacheco, and he's absolutely gone off my roster.
Yep. Excuse me. People don't realize Elijah Mitchell. I mean, he was 96th percentile 40-yard dash. 86 on speed score, burst score 89%. Like he was like unbelievable athlete, really good with. I mean, got targets in college. He was. There was so much to him. Pacheco is making there's some camp buzz here. And I think we like him because there is, like, as Tyler likes to say, a lot of failure in that backfield. That's true. There is, between Ronald Jones, who has never really been able to do anything. CEH, we're all very disappointed in him.
No, Tyler's not here anymore. I can defend Ronald Jones now. He had that one good year where he was almost a 1,000-yard rusher. I'm still a Rojo believer. I saw Shane was in this chat too. Shane is also a Rojo believer.
Nice. What's up, Shane? Cameron Ward, Truther, 12 team Superflex, Najee Harris, or a 23 first, 23 second, and 24 first. Competing teams running back away. So hopefully the picks are later. This is a great example of a trade I would not do. I would never, even if the value is okay, I just would never do this trade.
Yeah, and I think especially I would not do this trade now.
Bingo.
So, like you say that you're a competing team, just a running back away. Find that out for sure. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're, and this might not be your specific instance, Cameron Ward Truther, but I'm saying just kind of in general, when you're a person looking at your roster and trying to decide whether or not you're a contender or not, and figuring everything out, if you have upside but kind of still questionable pieces, like if you have Jerry Jeudy, you might think, oh well, he's going to be a wide receiver one with Russell Wilson, that's going to prop me up to being a contender. If you have Elijah Moore, maybe you're a year too early of thinking that you're a contender, all those other kind of things, to where if you give it a couple of weeks, you're going to find the answer out to that. I think more often than not, if you just give it, through kind of September. And then at that point, if you find out I'm just a running back away, my team is smashing right now, and I need to make this move, I think you can still make this exact same move at the end of September as you can right now, to where then I would feel more confident in doing that. Or maybe you figure out, maybe you have that one backup that the starter got hurt towards ACL in week 2. You have that backup, and now you have a guy. You don't even need to make this move. Maybe you just need to sell a second for Ezekiel Elliott or Aaron Jones or, Leonard Fournette, and that's all you needed to do. You didn't need to go for Najee. Then you can still try to compete, maybe win the title, and you still got your firsts. You know, I just think that there are different avenues and a lot of different ways to look at things than just saying, I'm a contender now in August, and I'm going to move all these future picks for that one player that's going to push me over the edge. That's
Well,
like a
yeah.
really dangerous path to go down if it doesn't work out.
And I think to some degree, we start looking at our roster going into the season and we're like, we want to have the best starting roster possible going into the season. And we want it to look good on paper. And we get nervous that we don't have that running back 2 or whatever it is on our team. But if you're a real contender, you don't need in week 1 to have Najee Harris in your lineup. Like you said, like have what that RB2, whatever it is. And even if it means that you aren't 8-0 the first 8 weeks, maybe you're 5-3, but you identify like, man, I can go out and instead of trading a 23 first, I can trade a 23 second and get James Conner, who's having a really good year and has a good schedule, you know, and I'm just making up the details, but those picks are not going to lose value between now and your trade deadline during the season. If you're a competitor, you want your team looking good for the playoffs. It doesn't matter what it looks like on day 1. So save those bullets, save those picks. Oh, go ahead. My camera shut off. I gotta. I'll be right back.
He said, I saw he said down here too. Or I start 1-3 because I waited and I didn't have a decent second running back. I think then the problem there is you're not actually a contender. If you started 1-3, just because, and you're blaming it on the fact that you don't have one position, you're not actually a contender. If that's actually what ends up happening, because in most cases, one player in your starting lineup is not determining your entire matchup. You can go back. I highlight a lot of this stuff on this channel. It was a video back in, I think, January. I think it's called My Biggest Dynasty Mistake Ever. Where I literally highlight, I did this 2 years in a row, where I made a trade thinking that it was going to help boost me towards winning a championship. The 1 year I did win a championship. The second year I came in second, but I highlighted and showed every single week that had I not made that move, none of my situation and my outcome of winning or losing the title would have actually changed. Because in most cases, and there's a lot of math and people out there doing research on this, a lot of studies showing that most fantasy head-to-head matchups are decided by 20 or 25 points or more. That's actually a very small percentage of weeks where your matchup is decided by single-digit points, to where one player actually made a difference for you, or that one start-sit decision actually made a difference. It might feel like there was a lot more because you feel it. You had that week where you're like, man, I was going back and forth on this start-sit decision. I lost by 3, and had I made the different decision, I would have won. You feel that harder, and so that hits you harder, and you remember it more. But that's not actually the majority outcome that's happening in head-to-head matchups. So I would say that if you start out 1-3 because you didn't make this move for Najee Harris, you are not actually a contender. You're pretending there. And this trade is going to make it worse for you down the road, because that potentially is an early 2023 first, or at least a mid 2023 first if you were a wild card playoff team, or barely didn't even make the playoffs, barely missed. And then you also gave up your 2024 first as well. And you're stuck with now a 25-year-old running back in Najee Harris, who at that point next offseason, when we see that he's 25, may not actually be worth 2 first-round picks.
Right.
So there's just, yeah.
And what if the Pittsburgh offensive line looks worse than we think it is, and Mitch Trubisky is trying to prove that he can be a starter for the rest of his career, and he's pushing the ball down the field to Claypool and not checking the ball down or something like that. Like, there's so many things that can happen between now and then. Like, if you really are worried about that RB2 spot that much, like, I would suggest going and getting like somebody who's like more of an RB2 type. Like, don't spend this for Najee Harris. Like,
right, go get Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, go get Elijah Mitchell, go get somebody like that. And, or go take a chance on Gibson, or go, something like that.
Go get AJ Dillon. You can use that 2024 first and just go trade for AJ Dillon.
Right. Exactly. There's just a lot of different ways that I would do this. So, and I just wouldn't make this trade. I don't think the value as of right now today is off,
bad.
right?
No. I'm just not making this move right now.
Exactly.
I do agree it's a fair trade. I'm just not making the move.
Okay. As we have talked about before, we are at the 50-minute mark here, so we're a little over when we should have done this, but we're not used to having a sponsor. It's our first time. Give us a break. And I do have to tell you guys, we are, in addition to being Ask DLF, Dynasty Football, we are also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy today. It's the easiest way to play fantasy sports. If you've never played Underdog before, now's the perfect time to try it out. You can sign up using the promo code DLF with a great deal. Deposit a minimum of $10. And just right there with the $10, you're going to get access to a premium membership of DLF, which is like well worth it right there by itself. If you've never been a member of, if you've never joined Underdog before, that right there, just do that, get the membership. It's going to be great for you. But also take that $10, they're going to match it. It's going to be 20. You're going to use it in best ball. And then you can either do whatever, pick 'em player props, which is a really fun way to spend your Sundays. You could do daily fantasy. You can do season-long best ball, including the world famous Best Ball Mania 3, which has 10 million in prizes, including 2 million to the winner. Underdog is also going to fully match your deposit up to $100. So, look, if you win, you guys have to make sure you take care of who told you about this. It's me and Addison. Make sure you do that. And yeah, enjoy that DLF Premium subscription. And even if you already have a subscription, oh no, we turned into Peter and Zach all of a sudden. Look at us.
Oh no. That's all right. I would totally be happy to be them.
Me too. They're better.
They're better.
So make sure you do that. Moving on here. Last week, Daniel's our guy that had all the Ravens last week. I don't know if you remember that question.
Yes. Yeah.
So he traded Lamar Jackson and Dobbins for Trey Lance, Travis Etienne, and a 23 second. What do you think about that deal?
I love it.
That's a great deal.
That was it.
That's the one.
You still have Mark Andrews too, so that's great.
Yep, that's right. So love it. 6 point per TD, -3 for interception.
I think he had a second question about should he move one of his quarterbacks. I think you're good. He said Burrow, Lance, and Lawrence.
It's a 1 QB league.
Oh, is it?
I'm pretty sure I remember that detail. Daniel, tell me if I'm remembering that wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was a 1 QB league.
Dude, I'm hoping it's super flex. If it's one quarterback, one of these guys is going.
I think I remember that correctly.
I think I do remember that now that you said that too. I think that was.
So then, yes, the answer is yes. You need to move one of these QBs.
Yes. And to be honest, I'm probably trying to flip Lawrence because Burrow is Burrow. We know what we have in Burrow. I think Lance has a higher ceiling than Lawrence.
You hate Trevor Lawrence.
I do. So I'm trying to move Trevor Lawrence. But to be honest, I'm totally fine with moving any one of these guys. But to me, it's probably either Lance or Lawrence because at least with Burrow, you know what you have. Mm-hmm. He's always going to be good. And I would try to move one of the more unknowns.
Why is Burrow going to outproduce Derek Carr?
Because he has 2 wide receivers that are better than both wide receivers in the Raiders.
T. Higgins is better than Devontae Adams. That's a hot take.
No, oh, sorry. I meant so Chase over Adams, Higgins over Renfro. Or and Higgins Waller? Over Waller and Renfro over Boyd, but the other 2 are better. So, and look,
I'm an LSU
Burrow
guy.
Also has a better running back to throw to.
I'm an LSU guy. I love me some Joe Burrow, but I think he's overhyped in fantasy.
If you're going to tell me that, I mean, if you're going to make that argument, I'm all for it because I've been on that train all year long. But that doesn't mean he still isn't not going to be good.
Right.
You know.
Well, and he probably is safer of these 3, but
right. That's what I'm trying to say. I think I do hate Trevor Lawrence. That's why I'm trying to move one of the 2 more unknowns because Burrow is safe, secure, and you know what you have in him for the next decade. And then if it were me, I'd roll the dice on Lance and I'd move Lawrence. If you feel the opposite, then do that. But I'm keeping Burrow probably and trying to flip one of the other 2.
Gosh, we got to try and come. We haven't even got to 8 o'clock yet, which is ridiculous. We need to hurry up. Or 9 o'clock your time.
Yeah.
Hector says he loves the show. Look forward to it every Tuesday. 1 QB, PPR, no tight end premium. Does George Kittle have a high enough positional advantage at round 4 versus getting a solid running back 3? Dobbins, ETN, and then grabbing Ertz and Henry. If we're looking at this, he says 10 team. If we're looking at this from a standpoint of Dynasty, then there's no chance I'm taking my RB3 in round 4. I don't know if that means I'm pivoting to Kittle, but like this sounds like a redraft question to me.
Yeah, in a 10-team league, it's more about having positional advantages because you want to have a stronger. Everybody's roster is going to be good, so you want to have stronger pieces at each position to be able to beat your opponents. I think I would take Kittle there because I do think that he has a high enough positional advantage. I think Ertz is going to cut it close. And is this Hunter Henry? It better not be Hunter Henry.
Everybody loves Hunter Henry, man. You didn't know? See, I tried to tell y'all.
Now, I would say if you could get Dalton Schultz like a round later, I'd probably take ETN than Dalton Schultz. That would be something that I would do. But I'm fine with Kittle in round 4. I think that's good value for Kittle in redraft.
I might want to know what wide receivers are on the board rather than having another running back. I assume you're pretty solid at running back here, so
that's true. Yeah.
T. Murphy, Wan'Dale Robinson and Isaiah Spiller or Elijah Mitchell in a 23-second. This is ridiculous.
Choose against my Wan'Dale, but I get my Elijah Mitchell, so that's okay.
And a 23-second. Like, would you trade Wan'Dale for a 23-second right now?
I'd probably say no because I want to have fun, but the smart answer is yes. The correct answer is yes, but I like Wan'Dale.
Spiller versus Mitchell is. I feel like Mitchell
the
is
second's extra.
Yeah, Mitchell's so obviously the best running back there in San Francisco, and top 5 rush attempts in the NFL next year.
Probably, yeah. The problem is that Mitchell's already hurt.
It's true.
He's supposed to be ready for week 1, but the fact that he's already dealing, we know how these preseason injuries, soft tissue injuries especially, can just kind of linger throughout the year, and you're never fully 100% ever. So that might be an issue, but I think as long as Elijah Mitchell's on the field, he's the guy, and he's going to be an RB2 for you with RB1 weeks. So I'm taking Elijah Mitchell and the second.
Absolutely. I'm not sure that there's much difference between him and J.K. Dobbins, to be honest with you.
There might not be.
I mean, think about the situations.
Think about this. This is a great conversation.
Ooh, Cecil Fielder. Appreciate. So can you just let us know if you are the Cecil Fielder? Because that would be amazing. I have an autograph from you, and I would like to say thank you. What is Isaiah Likely's ceiling? A lot of buzz here recently. Jacob Harris-esque. Does he actually capitalize on that, though, and give us something to look forward to here in Dynasty?
Isaiah Likely is likely not going to do anything for us for a couple years. This might be a Dallas Goedert situation where it's like he doesn't really do anything, but every time he's on the field and he makes that one catch, we're like, why isn't Isaiah Likely getting more targets, But he's playing behind Mark Andrews. Like, that is such a problem, especially at a onesie position, like the tight end. Like, they could roll out 2 tight ends 100%, and that would greatly help Isaiah Likely's chances. But when you have the opportunity to throw to Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews and you're Lamar Jackson, you're throwing to Mark Andrews, right? So
yes,
I think Likely could be really good. I think he's handcuffed tight ends aren't a thing, but they kind of are now with him. So I think that he could be really, really solid if Mark Andrews were to ever get hurt and we get, a starting Likely. His last name is great.
A likely starter.
A likely starter. But until that happens, I would never put Isaiah Likely in my starting lineup.
I guess if I want to start drawing the narrative out, to me, like I start thinking about the fact that Mark Andrews does have a little bit of a weird profile, and part of that profile is that other tight ends do see the field a decent amount in their offense, right? Like Hayden Hurst he got a lot of snaps. Austin Hooper before him, like even like I feel like I was just trying to look up some of the details. Like I think Mark Andrews only played 65% of the snaps last year. Like that's not a lot for a guy that was the number one tight end going away.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Boyle was on the field almost the exact same percentage of snaps.
I wonder how much is that because of how heavy they are as a run team and the personnel that they use, to where they want a blocking guy in there. You know,
it's true. It's just last year they didn't run as much, but I mean, like, it's not like Boyle was drawing targets. I don't know what kind of blocker Isaiah Likely is. Do you have any idea?
Not particularly.
I like his metrics at Coastal Carolina, like just looking at it briefly.
His
but
production was amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot that I think you can dream on here with him, but
I think we're just over. Like, he literally played like 10 snaps the other night with Tyler Huntley. And I think we're just overemphasizing how productive Likely is going to be.
We need this season to come quickly.
Yeah.
Cecil Fielder wants to know if this is a good time to sell Joe Burrow. We kind of talked about that a little bit already. I sort of think it is. I'm not sure he gets to this point again.
If you could get Hurts plus for Burrow, all for it.
He's so likable, and I think that's so much of it with him. But when you look at his actual production, to me, give me Hurts straight up over him.
Sure. I just don't know if that's, especially in a 6 point per touchdown, passing touchdown, you know, it's probable.
That's true.
That you can get Hurts plus.
James Flatley says 12 team. We're finally at start time right here. So we're getting there.
Let's
12 team Dynasty League, full PPR, 1 QB, start 8. I got offered Chase Claypool for Darnell Mooney. I like Claypool, but I think I want a little bit more. What do you want in return for Mooney? If you can get Mooney for Claypool, that's a no-brainer.
I think he has Mooney, and somebody said, I'll give you Claypool for him.
Gotcha.
I need a second with Claypool at least. I do not want Chase Claypool, and I wouldn't say I want Darnell Mooney, but I like Darnell Mooney. So yeah, it needs to be. I would love to sell Darnell Mooney for a 2024 first of that kind of value. You're not getting a 23. And if you're trying to tier down, Chase Claypool is not really the wide receiver that I'm willing to do that for. You know, I would almost rather take Darnell Mooney and trade up from him than I would to trade down. You know?
Yes. Yeah, I definitely would. Did he say PPR? Yeah, he says full PPR. Let's take a look at
start 8 too. So you need a strong starting lineup. Like, it's possible Darnell Mooney isn't really a starter in this league with only start 8.
What about Mooney or Amon-Ra St. Brown? Full PPR, Amon-Ra.
Probably Amon-Ra. Yeah, they're close.
That is a real trade that happened today in a 12-team. Let's see. It's start 10. I can't pull that out. But yeah, let's look at a couple more of these from the trade finder. So it's Darnell Mooney and Van Jefferson for Elijah Mitchell and Zach Moss.
Ooh.
That's a weird.
I take Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, you like him as much as me. I'm happy to hear that. That's great. Darnell Mooney for Terry McLaurin and a 23 first. That doesn't make any sense.
See, you would have to add to Darnell Mooney to get to Terry McLaurin for me.
Agreed. Jalen, people are worried right now, I think, because of how the preseason has gone for so many of the Washington players. I just think there's just so much Ooh, man. Darnell Mooney and Deontay Johnson or Jalen Waddle.
Waddle.
Yeah.
I'm cashing out on the other two. Waddle.
Yep.
Deal.
Johnson looked good the other night, though.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to look good because he is good. But you know who else is really good? Jalen Waddle.
DK Metcalf might not be a bad target for if you're going to trade up.
Oh. Yeah, like I would take Darnell Mooney. I'd trade up. I would go to I would like to go to Deontay Johnson. That'd be fun. You could go I would go up to Jerry Jeudy. And I would go across to Cortland Sutton. I would Mike Williams. I don't know if you can get that trade done, but I like it. I would do Mooney for Juju plus. I like that a lot. Doesn't have to be a big plus, but I like it. I just think that there are a lot of different ways to move off Mooney for players that might not see the same raw target volume, but have higher upside because they're in better offenses. You know, not going to be quadruple covered every time because they're the only player on the team. All that kind of stuff. Like, I think Mooney's fine because the volume is going to insulate him. But at the end of the day, if he has 80 for 1,005, like that's like wide receiver 26, 27. You know,
could you get something added to Devonta Smith?
Possibly.
I'd love that.
I'd take Devonta Smith for sure over Mooney. And then if you get something added to Smith, I would love that.
They're going back to back in ADP, but it feels like value wise, more people are in on Mooney right now. How likely is it that Washington moves Gibson back to his collegiate position as a wide receiver? Maybe some slot. I like the idea. I don't think they will.
But that's a tough transition to make, I think, when you're already this deep into running back. I mean, it'd be a smooth transition for him because he already played it, but he'd have to not like relearn routes, but like kind of just like re-teach himself wide receiver. And I don't think Washington does that anyway, just in general. I mean, they already got McLaurin and Dotson, and if they're hoping that Curtis Samuel plays, and Logan Thomas just got activated from the pup,
which I love that.
Yeah, so like there's a lot of different ways that they could utilize Gibson, but I don't think it's that.
Yep. Mike M, appreciate you guys doing this every week. Which side do you prefer in a 14-team Superflex PPR 1.5 tight end premium? Winston, Freiermuth, or Mills, Dillon, and Hurst?
Mills.
He did not look good.
That's all right.
Yeah, I guess so. Because
it's primarily for Dillon.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dillon's probably the best asset here, even with the. Well, yeah, I still think probably him.
It's a tight end premium still, so Freiermuth gets a little upgrade, but I want Dillon. I'll take the hit on going from Winston to Mills if it even is a hit. I'm not sure. It's probable that it's not. But yeah, I just want AJ Dillon.
Joey Cheese Sticks, evening gents. 12-team Superflex PPR start 10 is Drake London, worth a midish first and second. Ooh, we talked a little bit about him already.
Yeah,
I think he is. My team can still hang around this year, but ready for next year.
Yeah, go for it. Trade London.
I like it. Happy Taco Tuesday. It's exactly what they're about to have for dinner. I hope you enjoyed that there, Mark. Probably done with it by now as we're far behind, but we're going to try and catch up. Trevon Bulger, AJ Dillon, and Kadarius Toney or Kenneth Walker?
Dillon. Yep.
Give me Walker.
Dillon. Oh, see, Kadarius Toney is a good enough asset for me to move from Walker to Dillon.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, gosh.
This is like one of those trades where it's like whichever side had the plus, I'm taking that side. So,
I guess I just don't think AJ Dillon's upside is as high as people think. I don't know.
His upside is really high without Aaron Jones. With Aaron Jones, he's like a backhand RB2.
Yeah.
But without Aaron Jones.
It's just like we did this with D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart way back in the day, and he's not as good as Jonathan Stewart or D'Angelo. And,
you say that now.
24 hours says, hey, now, what's up? Appreciate you tuning in here. Matthew wants to know if we would trade Jerry Jeudy and Jahan Dotson for Chris Godwin or Marquise Brown.
Oh, or I was about to say
No,
no. I'm keeping Judy and Dotson
me too.
on both trades.
I like Goblin better than Judy straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Brown too.
Yep. But I like Dotson.
Me too. Manuel made a trade. He traded Gibson and Diami Brown for James Cook and Kenny Galladay.
Win.
Because of James Cook.
Attaboy, Manuel.
People love James Cook.
I actually just made a video about him. So
did you? Was it positive?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It came out today, I think.
I guess it's good.
Video?
But yeah, I would try to flip Cook now. And Galladay, dude? Galladay is terrible.
I'm taking Galladay over Diami Brown. That's end of story there.
I guess. Who are some buy low running backs that will be productive this season? Like Chase Edmonds. That
is a great example right there.
Buy low.
If Kareem Hunt stays on the Browns, love it. I like Jared Cook. That was another one too. In the video going out tomorrow, I highlight a certain non-Miles Sanders Philadelphia Eagles running back that you could probably guess who that is.
Kim's Gainwell.
Wow, that was a good one. You knew that right off the bat.
You know what? Like full PPR,
Naheem
Hines might actually be a little bit more productive than people think. I am a big Naheem Hines guy. But you're talking about real low there. I think Chase Edmonds is the one to go after.
Yeah. Rashad White, I think, is in that category too.
Yeah.
Like if you like James Cook, you should like Rashad White as well.
I love Rashad White. James Conner, I feel like, is always my go-to answer for this because I feel like his production is going to be better than what it costs because of his age.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of interested. Like, would you buy Rashad Penny for a second?
I would not, but I'm the wrong person to ask because I would.
Yeah.
I can't sell him for a second. I have one share of him that I cannot get rid of.
I saw somebody in the YouTube comments actually just said they were able to make that trade today. They traded Penny for a second.
I may try again.
So maybe wait. When Walker misses the week 1 and Penny has like 120 rushing yards because he has 40 carries, then you can trade.
Josh Jacobs? Kenyon Drake gone?
I'd rather have Zamir White.
Really? Straight up?
No, at cost.
Okay.
At cost.
Would you trade Garrett Wilson for 23 first and Marlon Mack? The team seems like the middle of the pack.
Our commander, the latest comment just says, never buy a penny. It's just so great. That's great. Never buy a penny.
Never buy a penny. I like that. Garrett Wilson for a 23 first and Mack.
Yes. For the exact same reasons that we talked about for Garrett London, except Drake London. Yeah. Except that Garrett Wilson is a worse prospect than Drake London. So we said that Drake London could maybe be at best the wide receiver 4 next year's class. Garrett Wilson, at best, I guess, would be the wide receiver 5 behind Drake London. And it's possible that Garrett Wilson would be a second round pick, an early like 201, 202, but a second round pick in next year's class. And to put my money where my mouth is, I did trade Garrett Wilson for a 23 first. Like when I was on the clock. I actually took Garrett Wilson and then promptly made that trade for a 23 first. So, yes.
Yeah, I'm with you. Especially, that offense feels like it's going to be terrible right now. So,
we might be a year too early.
Exactly.
And then, yeah. So,
Snarky Schmuck, if you're looking to tear down from Jalen Waddle in a 12-team Superflex, who are you trying to acquire?
Why would you do that?
I don't want to do that. Honestly, I am about as high as anyone on Waddle. I think he's going to outscore Tyreek Hill this year.
Would you tear down to Pittman or DJ Moore if you got a 23 second?
I wouldn't. No. I want to do that deal the other way. it's gonna be so tough. Like maybe if I get DK.
Yeah, because I was gonna say it's hard to with where Jalen Waddle is right now. You're either down tiering to a 28, 29-year-old vet or a similarly aged wide receiver who you're probably not getting a plus that you like a big enough plus that you like. And yeah, I guess that's it. So, so where I just don't think that you feel great about tearing down from Jalen Waddle. But like you said, like if you're not tearing down from Waddle to Pittman in a second or DJ Moore in a second, would you do Metcalf in a second? Because I don't think I would even do that.
Yeah, I don't really think I would, to be honest. And I think part of it is like I just don't think this is the way to. I think you should be looking to acquire Waddle right now because I think the industry is still a little bit too low on him. Honestly, I feel like the Tyreek Hill thing scares people. People don't like Tua. That jumps into it a little bit, and I think his value isn't his value in a trade isn't quite like you can get him for a 23 first right now, for instance. And I mean, just if you scroll down the trade finder, it's I almost always am choosing the Waddle side right now. So to tier down, I think you got to find the right person in your league for that. Right. And it's got to be something like Elijah Mitchell and Drake London. I mean, Elijah Moore and Drake London or something like that.
Yeah, I'd want to tier down at a similar age. And it probably ends up being that the plus is not an actual rookie pick. It's a player whose value is probably that rookie pick, but you just trust the player more. Like I thought of I would do Jalen Waddle for Michael Pittman and Cortland Sutton. And I think Sutton is one of those players that you would never get a first for him, but you would take over a second. So he kind of bridges that gap a little bit. Or maybe Jerry Jeudy or maybe one of the rookies this year, like a Garrett Wilson, like a Chris Olave. I'd be comfortable with Juju because I love Juju, Devonta Smith, other stuff like that, to where the plus is not an actual pick. It's just a really solid wide receiver 2 or 3.
Yep. I love it. Oh, keep going. Is it crazy that it's made too late first in DK for Justin Jefferson? 12. I got to fix this setting on my camera. Any experts in DSLRs, let me know. But yeah, talk about this one right here. DK, Justin Jefferson.
Is it crazy to trade if those first really are late? No, absolutely not. If it ends up being that one of those first is kind of early and one of them's late, I still don't think you're crazy, but it gets a lot closer, and especially in the 2023 class. I mean, I always say whenever I'm moving Justin Jefferson that I never want to move Jefferson for just straight rookie picks. So this is kind of fitting that bill, but DK just seems really unknown right now to where, I just don't know if I feel confident in moving from Jefferson to DK and getting the 2 picks on top. Like Jefferson is just so good, Like I don't think it's crazy. I just don't know if I would do that. Like I think I would just prefer. Well, I guess when you're saying it, is it crazy to trade those 2 for? I think I just want Jefferson. So no. Your audio's not working.
Oh, there we go.
There it is.
My bad. Give me Jefferson. Let's see. 10 team super flex PPR 1.5 tight end premium start 10 first dynasty startup with tight end premium. How much should tight ends be pushed up? What are your tier breaks and round range?
So this is the Tyler. This is really hard to answer on a video in this type of format. The short answer for this is 1.5 is not a significant boost to a lot of the tight ends for me. Because and the problem with premium is that it really only helps out like the top elite guys. Like this isn't changing anything for like Cole Kmet, really, or or like Noah Fant or anybody down there like that. It really helps out the guys who are catching 60, 70, 80 passes or more. That's where it's really helping out. So it bumps up those elite guys. Kyle Pitts might end up being a top 5 pick. And then right after that, Mark Andrews is probably a back end first, maybe an early second. Then you just kind of filter on down from there, where you basically bump up the elite guys, maybe around a half round or a round. But that's essentially it. Like once you get past maybe like Dalton Schultz and TJ Hawkinson and maybe Dallas Goedert, is where the differences really just starts being negligible at that point for a tight end premium.
Would you tear down from DK to Elijah Moore and a 23 first?
Absolutely.
100%. This is a great deal. Do this.
Love it.
Addison, do you have a Patreon?
I do not.
How can we support you, Addison? By
subscribing to the YouTube channel. So then this number gets bigger.
Yes.
I appreciate it though. I do get that question a lot, and that's just not something that I'm in here to do. So
yeah,
but I appreciate it.
He produces a lot of great content right here on the DLF channel. So make sure you are watching all those videos because Addison does tremendous work.
And, we're trying to get some stuff going on the back end, right, Cal? We're trying to figure out some other things.
Oh man,
we got some.
I hope we get that done.
Yeah, it's going to be a 2023 off-season thing because there's no way we're going to be able to do it in the actual season with everything going on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll be
really going to be so much fun though. The stuff we talked about, I can't wait.
Yep.
Easy dubs. Andrews, Deontay, AJ Dillon, or Aaron Jones, Jalen Waddle, Hawkinson, and a first rounder. I'm not sure what year this is. Easy dubs. Let's just assume 23.
Mm-hmm. Man, there's so much here. I
want the first rounder. Waddle in the first. Yeah.
Yes. Waddle over Deontay. Hawk in a first, I think. Yeah, that makes sense for Andrews, and I'll take Aaron Jones over AJ Dillon for now, but that's really close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna take Waddle and the first. I mean, that's great. I'll take that.
Redraft Kenneth Walker and London for CEH.
Yes, absolutely. Redraft, Dynasty, Best Ball, DFS, all of the above.
Oh, and all of it?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Underdog,
all of it. Get CEH?
I want Kenneth Walker.
Okay. Yes. I agree with you. I think this question is asking if he should trade Walker in London. So I was kind of surprised.
Sorry. No. I want Walker in London.
There you go.
In every format.
Would you sell Brees Hall while the price is still really high? And if so, for what?
Yeah, if the price is really high. The problem with Brees Hall is that we're in this position right now, this weird nebulous, where a lot of the running backs are either really young and unproven, or proven but really old. So it's just weird, kind of like Hall gets immediately thrown in above Ekeler and Cook and Kamara and Barkley and Mixon and all them because he's 4 or 5 years younger than all of them, So, and it's hard for me. Like, I wouldn't really recommend going from Brees Hall down to one of those guys, to where Hall just is kind of a sell, or sorry, a hold. I don't really think he's all that much of a sell, unless you really got to get something good, like a cheap way to move up to like Swift, I
don't think there's any reason to think his price is just gonna all of a sudden plummet either. Like,
no,
people invested a first in him, and that's gonna hold some value for a while.
Yeah, and I think he'll still, like, Bijan might come in above him. I'm actually probably sure that Bijan is going to come in above him, but nobody else will in next year's class.
This is probably a longer question than we have time for right here, but about tearing down in a super flex. This is a great question, and honestly, like, this, you should do a video on this.
I should. There's a lot of amazing people in this chat who have done this and can probably also help out with this as well. Like that one guy who just said he got acquired like 10 first-round picks over the next 2 years.
That's true.
Like, you basically just, like, imagine getting to a point where, like, you trade your 4th-round pick for a 6th and a 1st. Then you trade your 5th-round pick for a 7th and a 1st. It's like you just kind of you subtract 2 rounds, add a 1st, you're in. That's kind of like where you're at. And then we had that question before, was like, when do you stop? And it's like, you stop when you can no longer actually do that. Like when the value of the players on the board no longer matches the first. So this is a great question though. And if Tyler were here, he would give a fantastic answer. Join his Patreon. He would give you a fantastic answer. It's just, I would just essentially just trade down, offer trades, trade a second for a fourth and a first, third for a fifth and a first, on and on.
Absolutely. Scott Connor seems like a good guy to ask.
Oh, Scott would be a brilliant person to ask this to. Next time Manic and Chill are on, ask this question.
Yep. Zach Wilson and Waddle or Jamar Chase? Chase.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ed's not going to sell Brees Hall.
That's essentially where we're at.
Right. Agreed. Let's see. Turning down from Waddle. We talked about that. Try for Deontay and a 23 first to add to a second if you need to. This was Waddle. I don't think I would do that, though. Oh, gosh. Would I do that? Maybe.
This is for Waddle?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I love that. I love that Riggins was just to make us smile here. I like that.
I don't actually know who that is, so I'm glad you know who it is.
Well, Ed and me are about the same age, so. Lufty 08, Nico Collins for a late 23 second in a 10-team league.
A late? Yeah, I think I would take the second.
In a 10-team league as a top 20 pick next year, I would take that.
Right. I mean, it's basically like a mid-second in 12-team, right? So, and
honestly,
if you roll the dice and it's a better pick.
As you get closer to the trade deadline in your league, you'll probably be able to flip this for a player better than Nico.
Possibly, yeah.
What is Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield's ceiling? I've been trying to move them for months, and I can't even get a 23 second. I feel like a 23 third isn't enough. I agree with you, especially a super flex. Don't do that.
Right. I actually kind of like Baker. I was been debating for like 2 or 3 weeks now if I wanted to do a Baker video or not. So I might do it before the season starts. But I actually think Baker has a back end opportunity to be Derek Carr from last year. Like it's not a high probability, but it's not all that low, because this is the best situation he's ever been in. I mean, this is the best weapons he's ever had collectively as a group. This is an offense that is willing to throw the ball more than Cleveland. And Baker has shown that he's had, a high yards per attempt relatively, a higher touchdown percentage relatively as well. Like he's willing to sling it. And if he's willing to sling it to Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, even Terrace Marshall, I mean, I'm all for that. Like I think Baker has a solid chance to return to where he was a couple years ago as like a mid QB2 with high QB2 back end QB1 upside. But it's going to take that production for the value to be able to catch up for that. Like we have to see him do it again for us to believe in him. Goff is a little bit trickier though, because Goff doesn't really have the projected longevity, because it almost seems like it's just a fact at this point that they're taking a quarterback next year. To where Goff might get Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right.
But I do think that I still think he's worth more than a third.
Absolutely.
I don't know. It's a lot more.
But I think in season, somebody, like especially bye weeks come up and he's still starting, like somebody's going to give you more than that 23 third for him.
Sure. Maybe try to find the Deshaun Watson guy if they don't have a good fill-in. Don't go for the second, but go for like a solid player. Like could you trade Goff for probably not Ramondre? I don't think. You maybe have to go a little bit lower. But I think you can get a really usable player out of Goff. Might not be a pick, but I think you can get a really usable player for you right now.
I like where your head's at. I'm with you. I don't know who the right player is for that though. Like, I mean, maybe it is somebody that you're buying low on though. Maybe it is like where you get Antonio Gibson plus or something.
Yeah.
And you just take a chance.
Or like Michael Gallup. You think you can trade Goff for Michael Gallup right now?
I definitely think you can.
If people forgot about him. Or like if you need a tight end, could you just go for like Zach Ertz or Cole Kmet? Just somebody that you're going to be able to use.
Yeah. Definitely not a 20. I think I traded Tyler Huntley for a second round pick last year.
Holy crap.
You know what I mean? Like when Lamar
Yeah.
got hurt, like I had him and I traded him because somebody needed him. It's just like needs going to arise and people are going to be willing to pay more during the season. So Henry said, "What's up?
What's up, Henry?
What's up, Henry? Appreciate you tuning in." Des the Prez just did our rookie draft last night. All players are on waivers right now, and both David Njoku and Alberto. I don't remember how to say his last name. Say it again.
Okwebunam
Are available. We have 150 in Fab. I assume that goes for the whole season. Which one would you bid on, and how much Fab would you spend?
So I'm really aggressive with my Fab. But since both of them are on waivers, I want to say that this is a relatively shallow league to where it wouldn't make sense to like blow all of your Fab on one guy. Because that's generally what, like, in most of the leagues I'm playing in, like 25, 30 man rosters, like when Zay Jones hits the waiver wire, that's like 30 or 40% of your Fab, you know. As Zay Jones might not be the best example, but somebody like that. I'd probably go 50 for either. Okwebunam is kind of iffy. Like the fact that he played into the fourth quarter is a little scary. So I'd probably prioritize Njoku, but I'd probably go like 30%, 40%.
Yeah. I like your point about it being this is probably a very shallow league, because I don't think I'm in a league where these guys weren't on going into coming into this year, weren't rostered. So I think it depends on how shallow it is. I mean, and what else is out there, but if it's just like people happen to overlook them and they still happen to be out there, like I think sometimes they can get buried, like on Flea Flicker. These guys can get buried a little bit more or something like that.
Sure.
You know? Yeah, so I'm with you. I mean, 30 or 40%, both of them could be very usable tight ends. So I'm with you. Yeah, this is a guy in my league wanted first for Callaway. Must have been last year. Did offer a second. He was turned down. Guess it was dropped this season.
That's all right. You made out.
Give Rashad Penny and Jerry Jeudy and a 23 third and get Antonio Gibson and Treylon Burks. No,
I'm not doing this.
No.
Nope.
Boy, you absolutely would have smashed this 2 weeks ago.
I was going to say, yeah. You would have probably.
But it's have we overreacted? I don't know. I still like Burks,
I still like Burks too.
But Jeudy,
Jeudy more.
Exactly. Traded Alfred Morris for Darren McFadden that rookie year and lost to that team in the finals. Yeah, Alfred Morris was a beast.
Who was McFadden playing for? Was he the Cowboys McFadden at that time?
Probably. I don't remember.
This was like before DeMarco Murray. Oh, Tyler would know.
I'd have to look at the year. Roland Homer, this is me talking up my boy Alvin Kamara, but if he's not facing suspension, like he is undervalued in terms of what he can do for you this year.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm all for it. I have him in one of my redraft leagues, like my main redraft league. I'm all for it.
See, 12 team, 2 QB, so it's not super flex. Have to have that. This raises the value of quarterbacks even a little bit more. 6 point per touchdown. Is this not the time to sell? Tua can get 2 first-ish. Watson, Mahomes, other QBs.
I think this is not the time. A, because I think he's going to have a good season. But B, you have Deshaun Watson. So
right,
you need Tua.
You have to have Tua, and honestly, I don't know that 2 firsts is going to be enough. Like, I think you're going to get more than that at the end of this year. Like, that team is so fast. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I mean, look at even like the running backs with Edmonds and
Mostert can book it.
His sprint speed is always one of the top.
And if Gesicki's like your 5th target, like what the heck are you doing here?
They're going to score a lot of he's going to throw the ball 3 yards, and it's going to be like
I'm telling you, dude,
75
yard dump off to Tyreek Hill is a 75-yard passing touchdown for Tua.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't sell Tua yet for this. And maybe a lot of it is because of Deshaun Watson, but I do kind
Right.
of believe in Tua. But you're going to need a second quarterback because Watson's out for literally 13 weeks or 12 weeks. And maybe you play him in week 13. Maybe you don't. I don't know. He looked rusty. But yeah.
That's to be expected for sure. Really true there. Yogen's trying to tear down from T. Higgins for a wide receiver plus. I have a lot of T. Higgins, 12 team Superflex, 1 PPR, 2 tight end premium. Would you trade T. Higgins for a Monra plus 223 seconds?
No.
Shooting for a first, already assuming a decline. Yeah, I would not do this for a second. I got to get an asset that can be, I can at least dream could be Higgins. And a Monra, even though I love him, he's not that.
No. Yeah, you need the first. And it probably would get declined, I think, because it's a 23 first, but I'm not doing it for Amon-Ra and less than a first.
Zeke and Dobbs. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Romeo.
I think it should be. Like he should take on the Dubs nickname because, Dubs for W's, man.
Right.
So,
yeah, my name has nothing to do with it, and I wouldn't mind people calling me Dubs. So,
I'm taking Saquon.
Yes,
pretty easily.
But I agree with our commander. I don't really like Zeke or Saquon.
Well, you're wrong on one of those. So.
We'll see. I don't know. That Giants offense could be. It's either going to be like just it's going to be must-see television, like with Tony and Wandale and Saquon. Like it's going to be like, I don't know. It's going to be just gross all the time.
It's going to be must-see television, I think, in multiple different ways, in complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
Zach, what's up, dude? Love the show, gentlemen. You guys do some great work. Much better looking than the Wednesday night DLF show.
Man, I don't know. That one's close. That's close, Zach. Appreciate you.
Shane, humans aren't alphas. Says the alpha. Talk about Shane.
Conversation.
Let's see. See, just had a rookie draft. Got Garrett Wilson at 112. What?
How? That's impressive.
So who do you think was taken? Pierce was probably taken in the first above him. Was Pickens?
Yes. Was Dobbs?
Oh gosh. I hope not. Spiller? Was Spiller? What, he gets
I don't know.
11 people over Wilson. That's crazy.
Because he's already the 105, so you got to get like 6 people ahead of him. So like you put Pickens up there, maybe Jameson Williams, maybe Dodson and Watson still, and Sky Moore, and James Cook, and Pierce. That's 7. So yeah, I love it. 112, that's fantastic. His outlook might not be great for this year, but the fact that you got him at 112 is fantastic.
Great job. You won the championship last year, probably, and you got Garrett Wilson as your first round pick.
You added
That's
Garrett
incredible.
Wilson. That's great.
Yeah, this was going back to the other one. Now trade Pollard. I agree. Pollard, I just don't think he's. I think he's always a third down running back. I don't know that he's much more overvalued. Yeah, and I think he's older than people think. Right?
He's 25.
Yeah,
he's older than AJ Dillon.
Ooh. Ekeler's fair for the 105 and Gibson. There we go. Let's see. Cannot get my league to trade for Miles Sanders. Oh, who dat dude? Here we go. It's got the Pelicans logo there. Olave will be sneaky good this season in New Orleans.
Will he?
I don't think so.
Oh. Is that with or without Michael Thomas?
I think either way, because I just don't see a scenario where New Orleans passes enough.
I think there's. Sorry, go ahead.
I think if all 32 starting quarterbacks coming into the season all stay healthy, Jameis Winston probably has the least pass attempts of all of them. Maybe bottom 3 or 5.
Wow.
The defense is going to be elite. I mean, like they're not going to want him to just pass the ball like and take a lot of chances. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just think the reins were on him a lot last year, and if he had played 17, he wouldn't have even had 400 pass attempts based like extrapolating his numbers over 17. Yeah. And that's so low. And I just don't think that's why I don't love the passing game options in New Orleans.
If Michael Thomas is out, I could see Olave being sneaky good. I think there's definitely an opportunity where he's possibly the second best rookie in this class for immediate production. Possibly even the first, maybe. But I definitely think he's going to be better than some of the other rookies drafted ahead of him in year one. But then they'll catch up quickly, I think.
Sean bundled up Antonio Gibson and Miles Sanders for an early 23 first, which is a great deal. He says calculators had it as a loss. This is a good time to maybe remind everybody that like calculators have a tough time sometimes catching up. Well, I think Gibson is
our calculator.
It's a little bit. Gibson's a little higher valued in our calculator than he should be. I was noticing that the other day. I just think sometimes calculators have a tough time catching up. But now that, well, gosh, even with the ADP being out, it's probably
so Gibson and Sanders equal a random 2023 first. If we were to put in our calculator that it's an early first, the first almost doubles the Gibson Sanders side. Archery.
Okay, so no, he doesn't have. You didn't lose DLFs.
You didn't use DLFs.
That's why.
Got to use the DLF.
Phil moved CeeDee Lamb and Damian Pierce for Stephon Diggs and Keenan Allen.
Ooh,
that's tight.
Yeah, the age for the wide receivers is not fun, but I like selling off of Damian Pierce. I think I would take the Diggs and Keenan Allen side, and then I would try to move Keenan Allen for something. Not because I hate Keenan Allen. Actually, I love Keenan Allen. He's 30, almost 31. So
this is gonna sound like I don't like CeeDee Lamb, and that's not true. But trade the theoretical production for the real production in this case.
Yes,
I think Allen is falling off, but I had great if you're really
should be up here.
It should be. You won that deal, Sean. Let's see. People tell me what calculator they use. Try to beat the system. That's
smart.
Meta. Hit that like button, says Ed. 70 plus in here. Only 14 likes. Come on. I forgot to tell everybody that it literally makes Addison smile every time the like button is hit. So look, I think somebody always in the comments says like every time the like button is pushed, Addison gets his wings. So yeah. Can't wait for Cal to finish the setup. Yeah, it's not all the way done yet.
Oh, Cal's gonna look. I have so many recommendations for you.
I know it's not all the way done. It's gonna get there, Corey. It's come a long way in a short time here, but it'll get there. Sean Duffy won. Shane, why you hate Burrow? Shane hates Burrow too, huh? Thoughts on CEH? I know it's hard to give your real feelings when Tyler is here because he hates him, but it seems Rojo is on the cut bubble. Maybe Pacheco is really the RB1. First of all, I have no problem giving my real opinion on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, whether Tyler's here or not. But I think there are reasons to think that he could be more productive than what you're paying for him right now.
Sure.
But I don't think his value is ever going to be that high because people are always going to hate on him. I don't know what he would have to do this season. He'd have to have like Brian Westbrook, like vintage season.
Oh man, like if he was a top 10 running back, we would still find ways to take like, a lot of other running backs ahead of him.
Yeah, because then they'll sign Zeke next year.
That'd be crazy. Yeah.
Will's back. What's up, Will? Appreciate you
Will?
Tuning in. Let's see. Yeah, we did kind of talk about CEH earlier. Let's see. Will's got a question here about Gibson while we're on the topic. On Chase, Higgins, Cooper Kupp, AJ Brown, and DK Metcalf. Running backs, you got Lenny, Monty, and Herbert. Aaron Jones, Gibson, and McKissick. Damian Pierce got offered Mooney for Gibson straight up. Should I take
Gibson's
it?
gone. Mooney.
Yeah, take Mooney.
Gibson's gone.
That's easy. Let's see. I would sell T. I don't think the Bengals re-sign him. I don't know why they wouldn't.
I have not heard anybody really bring that up. I don't know why they wouldn't re-sign him either.
I mean, they drafted Chase when they had Higgins and like needed offensive line help. So this is a team that's gonna invest in wide receivers,
right? Especially because when you get to that point, you can kind of get off of Mixon as well. So like
true.
as Mixon's contract kind of comes off the books and don't really go so much for defensive players, you know, you can sign both Burrow and Higgins,
right?
So.
Rob is in a 10-team half PPR Superflex, Treylon Burks or Chris Godwin. Definitely Godwin.
Yes.
Yeah, this was from earlier. Value differences between first, seconds, and thirds.
Wow. Okay. Theory. So generally you would like to say that like 2 of one of them equals the one above, right? So 2 seconds equals the first, 2/3 equals the second. That's what you would like to say. I don't think that's actually necessarily the case, especially too, because not all firsts are equal. So the 203 and the 206 might equal the 112, and that's a first. But is that good? Is that the value that you want? You know, like you're not getting the 103 for 2 seconds,
right?
So it's kind of almost like within the rounds themselves, they almost kind of have mini tiers to where it's kind of like 2 back end firsts equals an early first, to then where maybe 2 seconds equals a back end first, you know, and then you can kind of snowball from there on your way down. Yeah, I think that's the best. That's the best I can do on that one.
I love it. You got really excited about that question, like way more excited than I thought you would.
That was a good question. I love it, but that's another one that is just kind of hard to answer in this kind of a format. Tyler would also be able to answer this so eloquently too.
Well, and it's really tough, I think, to like, because you're not going to trade 23 seconds for a 23 first. Like, that's just not a real deal that anybody's going to be doing right now. Like,
No.
So it is a little difficult to make more practical, but once you know the positions, then it becomes which draft, right? Because it's right now that Corey, help me, Corey.
I get what you're saying though, that like, you know, it is very draft dependent, because as of right now in this class, you might not want to trade 2 seconds for a late first, because the tier differences might not be all that great, to where the value might actually be better for you to drop down. And it's kind of similarly, you're not able to trade the 108 and the 110 for the 101.
Right.
Like you're not getting Brees Hall for that. So it is a lot of very draft class dependent, very draft position dependent. Yeah. That's a good question though.
It is a good question. JB, have a running back needy team with shallow rosters. Herbert and Pacheco are on waivers. Oh, who should he prioritize?
Herbert's
the right answer, but I might.
Is he hurt for the entire year? That's not true, right?
No,
I didn't see that.
Right?
Not the entire year.
I don't think so.
2 days. He returned to practice 2 days ago. Okay.
Pacheco, though, like I almost feel like, gosh, if you could get him and trade him.
But if Pacheco was already on waivers, what does that tell you about the league?
I just wonder if this is like after the draft and like they haven't run waivers yet, maybe. Like they had a rookie draft. Like
I'd still rather have Herbert. Herbert has more value than Pacheco right now, even with the hype. Herbert we've actually seen Herbert in a real NFL game succeed and do well for fantasy. So yeah, I'm prioritizing Herbert of the two.
12-team PPR, Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, and a 23 third for Devonta Smith, 23 first, and a 24 first.
Kupp side.
Man, even getting 2 first-round picks?
I think 2 first-round picks is about the going price for Kupp, and I'd rather have Mike Evans than Devonta Smith.
It's true. Yeah, Mike Evans in a third for Smith. Yeah. No, you're right. 27-round auction, 6-round rookie draft.
Holy moly.
I like it.
That's fun.
This took forever. This took days.
100%. This took weeks.
The Magoon 10-team Superflex PPR, 1.5 tight end premium. Start 10, first dynasty, start up with tight end premium. I think we did this one. We did this one earlier.
Yes. Yeah.
Kid Coop, 12-team Superflex, Kyler, Godwin, Spiller, or Lamb, 23 first, 24 first, Gabriel Davis. This is Kyler.
I'm taking Kyler. The only side with the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Godwin, you get Godwin as well. Yeah, I'm gonna consolidate a lot of that into Kyler and Godwin.
If instead of Gabe Davis, it was like Elijah Moore, maybe.
If instead of Gabe Davis, it was a mid QB2.
I like that. Would you trade a mid 23 second for Chase Edmonds?
Yes. Yes.
Burrow seems like a nice guy. Sure.
He seems like a winner for sure.
I don't know if nice is the word I'd use for him.
Fun.
He's like awesome. I love that guy. Okay. What are you doing, Jerry Jeudy? Haven't heard much about him lately. It's true. He's very quiet on the Jerry Jeudy front.
I like him a lot. I've said multiple times, both on here, on the channel, and videos and stuff, that I think, and Tyler will disagree, but I think that both Broncos wide receivers are in for potentially being wide receiver ones. Both of them. Simultaneously. Like Russ did with DK and Lockett in 2020.
Imagine if they get volume.
Yeah.
Like he didn't even really have that much volume, right? And DK and Lockett were
he threw 550 pass attempts that year, which was the most he's ever thrown in his career ever. And he supported 2 wide receiver ones.
Right.
Tyler is in the chat, by the way. And
nice.
Tyler does disagree. But you're not up here, so I can say whatever I want.
That's right. That's right.
With no repercussions.
Chad Booth and rebuild traded Mixon, Robinson for Elijah Moore, Elijah Mitchell, and 2-3.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Mixon, and is that Wandale? No, it's got to be James or Allen. Yeah.
Whoever of the Robinsons, I'm taking Elijah squared.
Me too. There you go. Like that. Washington isn't that creative. That was to move Gibson to wide receiver.
No.
It's true. If you are trying to trade away Antonio Gibson in a 12-team Superflex half PPR, what's a realistic return?
Anything.
I mean, a 23 third right now. It seems like
I think you can get a second.
I don't know, man.
Could you get Ramondre? Or
are you doing that the other way? I don't think you're doing that the other way.
I don't know, dude. Gibson is such a hard asset to sell right now just because nobody likes him and nobody wants him. It's almost honestly probably better advice right now to just hold Antonio Gibson than it is to kind of sell, even though I do really, really want to sell. But it's just like, if you're not getting anything great, it's not worth it.
Oh, the trades involved in him are awful.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
They're awful. You can't trade him. I mean, honestly, like
it has to be a comparable player at the running back position that you feel confident in starting.
Or you need to be in a league with somebody who's like in his family, like,
or is a major Washington fan. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Will, shout out about your video about Cook. He liked it.
Thank you, Will.
Probably
That was
why
today.
he made the trade he made.
Today's video. So go watch it if you haven't.
Abel, what kind of value does George Pickens have right now? Is he a sell high or a hold? Full PPR, 1 QB. Let's answer that one first. What do you think?
I don't think Pickens is a sell high right now, unless you're getting like crazy value.
Mhm.
I would. So, for example, I would sell Pickens for a 23 first. We'll get that out of the way.
Or for
Anything
Garrett
kind of.
Wilson. What? Yes, you kind of have to, right?
Do I have to? Or I don't think you're making that move either way, to be honest with you. I think if you have Garrett Wilson, you're not selling for George Pickens. And I think vice versa as well, too. I think you're riding both of those roller coasters, especially if you drafted both those players in rookie drafts. You know? Otherwise, I think he's kind of a hold. You know, I thought throughout the draft season that George Pickens had one of the highest, if not the highest ceiling in this entire draft of wide receivers. Because he's like that good and that much of a potential like wide receiver one for a team. And if that shows out, he's going to be fantastic, you know, to where any trade that we make right now, even trades that we might view as great sell highs right now, we might look at in 2 or 3 years and be like, we could have got George Pickens for that.
Right. I just think his upside, he's with a target hog now, at least for the next 2 years. Like I love him. I just think he's going to be more.
If he's on the field, he's going to be great. There's that stat, quality analytics. He's an amazing follow for analytics and DFS and a bunch of stuff like that. He basically did work and this might seem obvious to you, but he basically plotted the regression line to show the correlation between snaps and targets, and basically showed that as you play more snaps, your targets go up. So really, it's more about
unless you're Ian Thomas with Carolina.
Yes. So unless you're Ian Thomas,
that dude was just doing cardio on the field,
right? So essentially, it's just if your team brought in another wide receiver, but that other wide receiver is not expected to bump you off the field, we really shouldn't be expecting all that much of a target share change for that player that was quote unquote replaced, right? So as long as George Pickens is on the field, I think that he has a good chance to see 6, 7, 8 targets a game, even with Deontay Johnson. You know, that might come at the expense of Chase Claypool, at Najee Harris, at Pat Freiermuth, but I think if George Pickens is that talented, he's going to get targeted, right?
How many passes per game is Mitch Trubisky / Pickett, whatever?
I mean, probably 30. That's like relatively average, 30. You know, the higher end guys are at 35 plus. Lamar Jackson's down at like 25. It's like if he's throwing 30 passes a game, and Deontay gets 10, Pickens gets 8, Freiermuth gets 6, you know, Najee gets 4 or 5.
I like
Not
it.
Unreasonable.
Thomas straight away Juju for a 23 first. Congratulations.
Nice. Yep. I'm surprised that was even able to happen.
Offered a mid-late first, and I was turned down for Pickens. Wow. Now what I do? Wait, where'd you go, Addison? Are you there? Is it me or is it you? That's when it's 2. It's hard to tell.
I froze.
Okay, yeah. Thomas, how many picks should I give up trying to acquire DeAndre Swift? 10-team, 1 QB, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 2 flex.
How many picks?
The 10-team league?
2? 2 firsts?
The 10-team league? 1 QB, 3. I think 3. 10-team? You need a stud. I'm willing to pay up.
All right.
DK and Garrett Wilson for Pitts and a 1.5 tight end premium.
Yes, done.
Do it. Would you trade Treylon Burks for a 23 first? Yes.
Yep. See Garrett Wilson and Drake London conversations.
How much fab for Pacheco?
Like 5-10% maybe max.
Bingo. And somebody's going to be willing to pay so much more.
Right. You're probably not getting Pacheco.
Right. Not for that. Sean Deegan saw Peter Howard's video on Pat Fryermuth and am now trying to get Pat. Thoughts on this deal? James Conner for Fryermuth and a 23 third.
He's rebuilding. Okay.
You have to get rid of Conner.
Right. Could you get a second? Could you do Fryermuth in a second? If you're able to find a team that is contending and needs a running back, you might be able to pull away Fryermuth in a second. I think that's pretty probable.
Yeah. I think so too. The third is nothing.
Right. I'd almost rather have a player at that point.
Right.
Like take a shot on a wide receiver, like Fryermuth and Jalen Tolbert. It sounds better to me than Fryermuth in a third.
Fryermuth in a 24 second? Would you do that?
I think any second in Fryermuth I'm in.
Right. Yeah, instead of going down in rounds in 23, push it out a little bit.
Yep, that works too.
Tyler Pello, Giants offense just needs Jones to be serviceable and not terrible.
That's kind of true. They're kind of the same. Like I've been saying that about Tua. Like there's so much speed on that offense. It's kind of the same in New York, just not as like high level talent. But it is kind of like if all this offense really becomes is slant routes and screen passes, like Jones could be fine.
We'll see.
I don't think he's great, but yeah.
The offensive
Giants
line
want to succeed.
The offensive line looks bad. I mean, I don't know. It just looks bad to me. Maybe not.
The Giants are going to succeed. Saquon's going to have about 95 screen pass receptions.
It's true. Fourth round rookie running back over a top 10 NFL draft capital receiver. A terrible process decision. I don't know.
That was that Damian Pierce one at the very beginning.
Oh, right. Yes.
It was Pierce or I forget who it was.
Yeah, I don't know either of it. Oh, is that Garrett Wilson and Pierce? Is that somebody drafting Pierce over Wilson?
Yeah, something like that.
Daniel, hey, I could use some help. I am the commissioner of a league with a 1 QB, 1 running back, 1 flex, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, and then another flex. I guess maybe that's a full running back, wide receiver, tight end flex. Put it up to a vote and to add a second running back spot, but everyone said I can choose. Would you add a running back spot? It's a tough question.
Yeah, this is very preferential, right?
And what league is this where everybody's just like, you decide if you want to add a running back spot or not.
It's an interesting league. They seem pretty chill. Maybe it's a cool little like my home league is like that. We have a dynasty and a redraft league where it's just kind of like my commission's like, how's everybody feel about another flex spot? We're all like,
yeah,
I don't care.
It's got to be redraft and it's got to be like they haven't drafted yet. That's my guess. It's got to be. Nobody in Dynasty League's like, sure, add whatever,
True.
Add
True.
Yeah.
Man, I don't feel like I'm of any help for you because I feel like I'm your league. I'm just like, I don't care.
You know what, Daniel? You decide.
I'm so sorry, Dan. I'm so sorry.
Tyler, the King will return very soon. Tyler, we're definitely looking forward to that. Better not be scared of me. No.
We should get a Lord of the Rings clip or something.
I do think I argue with Tyler more than anybody else that he normally has on there with him, but
I don't know.
Got to push back a little bit, but Tyler's pretty sharp, man. He's pretty smart. He knows what he's doing. He looks at this stuff a lot. He thinks about it. So, Sean, 12 teams to reflect. So, should I trade a top 23 first and Pollard for Brees Hall? This is the Pollard. How many teams has Pollard been on in your league, Sean? I feel like he's been on every team already. I'm a contender is not my first.
Trading one of my main competitors so weakens his squad and it helps mine. Did we answer this? First. I think we answered a similar-ish question earlier on.
I think
early
it's
first
him,
and Pollard. I think I still keep Brees, man.
Plus, you're gonna, I like the extra level here where he gets to weaken his main competitor. So I like that. Do it. Traded Kenny Pickett for a 23 first. What are your thoughts?
Love it.
Love it? Really?
Yeah, I'll take a 23 first.
There's
going to be like 5 quarterbacks in next year's class.
I was thinking about this backwards.
No,
my bad.
You want the 23 first over Kenny Pickett.
I want the 23 first.
Pickett's still not even the best quarterback in this class. Sam Howell. Justice for Howell. Sorry.
Y'all really think the Bengals re-signing Burrow, Chase, and T? Why not?
If they use the same bank that the Rams use, it's very possible. So
exactly.
I don't understand the salary cap. I don't know how things work like that, but if the Bengals want to re-sign all 3 of these guys, they're going to re-sign all 3 of them. Mixon can probably be gone. Boyd will probably be gone. Jesse Bates will be gone. But they're going to keep all 3 of them.
T. Higgins can't. What? T. Higgins has 2 years left?
Yes. He's got this year and next year.
Long way away.
And they could also, if they really wanted to, they probably wouldn't end up happening, but they could franchise Burrow and Chase and save a year.
Yeah.
And it also helps that Chase is a year after both of these guys. So they could front load a lot of this stuff and then, or they have maneuverability with the difference of a year to do some stuff.
Yeah.
I don't understand the cap, so it's going to happen.
I like your idea of them having the same bank as the Rams because the Ram is not real for the Rams.
No, it's not. I don't know how they signed Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford and then they just got Allen Robinson. I really don't know.
Dynasty PPR Superflex. I'm a contender with no major needs. Congratulations. B-Rob is my RB5, but should I trade away B-Rob for Christian Kirk?
Ooh, yes.
I like that. Cash in. Could you do better than Kirk right now?
Possibly, depending on how people think about Christian Kirk. Maybe, I want to say maybe not right now. Like the Brian Robinson hype is there, but people still see that this is like a 3-headed monster in Washington. Like Gibson is still there.
So is McKissick. I mean, I feel like there's
right.
It's not an offense you're going to want a piece of, in my opinion.
No, not really. Christian Kirk, you might not want a piece of either. Like I totally get that argument, but I think this is a good sell. I would do this.
Would you trade him for Claypool? Robinson?
Probably not. No. No.
Tony?
Yeah, I would do Tony.
I could do that. Advice on adding 2 expansion teams. I like the idea.
So my home my home dynasty team, we started out with 8. Because at the time, all of us only had 8 friends. And then, so we moved it to 10 a couple years later. And essentially the way that we did it was everybody dropped 5 players. And then that player pool of those 50 players plus whoever was currently on the waiver wire was the pool that those teams got to draft from. We had rules like you had to, we set position limits. So like if you had like more than 4 quarterbacks, you had to drop 1 kind of thing because it was super flex, So like you can only and we only really just did that for that one specific time. Like we don't have position limits, but just so that there was some sort of a quarterback for these teams to have. And then both those guys, they went in knowing that their teams might suck. And I think we gave them the 101 and the 102 that year.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. Is
we flipped the coin as to who got it, I think. Or maybe we did some sort of thing where it was like, you got first pick in the expansion, so then the other person gets 101. That might not actually end up as unfair, but
I think you include the picks in the expansion. Like they can choose the picks.
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
This was a few years ago, so I'm fuzzy on the details, but that's essentially grand overview on how we did that. But
Mhm.
essentially, and I think maybe we didn't even charge them for that year either. For like the first year, we didn't make them pay because, like I said, they knew they were gonna suck.
Right.
But
Man, you
actually,
hit on
since
like
then, those two teams, the one team made the championship last year, and the other team has been a playoff team every single year except for that first year. So they turned it around pretty quickly.
Addison's a pro. I was literally every follow-up question I was going to ask. You nailed it. You hit it.
Mm.
Our commander loves the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Commander.
Is
Appreciate you
that
tuning in.
Spider-Man
Do what?
in his profile picture?
Spider-Man?
Kind of looks like him.
Oh, that just reminded me of a Mr. Beast episode, like interview that I heard. And I'm not like, I couldn't pick Mr. Beast out of a lineup, but like
What?
I listened to an interview of him and I like love the guy now.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah.
I watch like everything that he does because he's like, and I honestly, he's one of those guys where like I prefer watching interviews with him than like his actual like content, just because I think he's like brilliant.
He is
He's awesome.
brilliant. Like seriously, that's what jumped out to me. And the reason why Spider-Man sent that is because he started a Spanish channel where it's like
he has a couple of them. He has a couple of them.
Yeah, he's got like all kind of stuff. But he got the actor who did the voice dub for Spider-Man to be his voice.
What?
Yes.
That's dope.
So people are like, is Mr. Beast Spider-Man? Like, and apparently he's got some like big anime person that's doing the Japanese dub as well. Like he's just next level.
He's such a baller. Only Mr. Beast would be able to do something like that.
He also, listen to this. He also was worried about this is off topic. Whatever. We're 2 hours and 11 minutes in. He was talking about how he's worried about like his words being mixed up. So 3 independent people transcribe it, and if it matches, then they send it. If it doesn't, they go back.
This is way more production than I thought went into his dub channels.
Right? I know. I'm telling you.
But
like,
I mean, it makes sense. It's Mr. Beast. He's 110% or nothing. So
yeah, he's not accidentally viral and getting. He's got over 200 million subscribers between all of his channels.
I was gonna say he just hit 100 million on YouTube. He gave away a private island to somebody for that.
Insane. He said he was okay. We'll move on after I say this. He said he finally upgraded his living situation only because his house got broken in. But like
I did see that too.
Yeah, but like basically like he doesn't spend any money. Like he
says that everything that he makes in his YouTube channel, he reinvests back into it. So it's like I made $5 million in ad revenue through YouTube this year. So that means I get to spend $5 million on my videos for the next month.
Incredible.
He's insane.
I just love smart people talking about what they're passionate about, and he's one of those. Spock, my only QBs are Kyler and Carr in a 12-team Superflex. I have 323 first. How would you guys go about it? I'm trying to compete this year. I wouldn't do anything different right now. I think Carr is in a really good spot. Like that, they're going to be chasing points. I mean, look at the offenses in that division. Like they're going to score a lot. And
the addition of Devontae Adams definitely doesn't hurt. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I wouldn't really be doing anything differently either. This is kind of the same advice as when we talked about earlier, like trading multiple first for Najee,
right?
Where it's like, if you think that you're a contender now without making a move, then you might not need to make that move. And you will find out in season if you should make that move or not. Because if you are 3-1, but then something kind of happens, or maybe you need a fill-in player, you might not have to spend all that for an elite level player. Maybe you just need a sub for a week, right? Like go get Jared Goff for a second, and then you're right back on track. Whereas vice versa, if you start out 1-3, 1-4, because you weren't actually a contender, you'll be grateful that you didn't make that move, because then you have future picks to work with, that you can do more with to help you out. So
bingo.
I think you're good right now. Keep going.
Edwin, Superflex 10 team, start 10, full PPR. Would you trade AJ Brown for DJ Moore and 224 seconds?
No. I'll take AJ Brown.
Me too.
If it was a 23 or 24 first, I would do it. But not seconds.
Good stuff, guys. Ask DLF Tuesdays are always a good night. That's right. Appreciate you joining us here, Ridley Truther. Thanks for the advice, guys. Appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in. 12 teams, Superflex, tiered PPR. Would you move AJ Brown for 2 first?
Are they both 23?
They'd have to be, right?
Jaden, you're still in here, right? Are they both 23? Or is it 23, 24?
Not contending. I think I did this move, actually.
You got the firsts?
Mm-hmm. Let me see what I got, because I do think I got 223 first.
I think I would do that. I think I would sell AJ Brown for that, because that does seem like a little bit more than what his trade value currently is. I think ADP, he said one of each, so it's a 23 and a 24.
Okay.
So that's a little closer now.
Ooh,
tough. Did you find your trade?
I'm looking now. Give me just a second. Knowing that you don't have any chance of competing here, I'd probably still do it.
This is a hard. That's like right where like the value I think is.
So
right?
I don't think I would do, if I had Jalen Waddle, I wouldn't do it.
Okay. If you had Higgins.
Ooh, gosh, maybe. That's tough. I think with AJ Brown, the one reason why, if I know I'm not a contender, the one reason why is because, like, and look, it can happen to anybody, but there is some injury history. So I feel like you're banking, like, the value of those first is not going to go down. The AJ Brown as an asset is more risky.
The DLF Trade Analyzer has this as 640 for the picks, 580 for AJ Brown. So that gives you a rough difference of the 212.
I don't know how to find my trade. I can't navigate NFL ever. It always takes me too long.
All right, Jaden, I'm taking the picks. He said that he has a 23 first next year too. So if he hits good picks, his goal is to compete next year.
There you go. T-Fish, Cal, you do a great job hosting the show. Addison, always look forward to your input every Tuesday. Yeah, awesome. I appreciate that. And yeah, it's been fun to have me and Addison here. This has been a lot of fun.
We
did it again right at the end. Hang on, I'm gonna keep going. Another great show. Appreciate all your work. You two are great. Yeah, that was what you were saying. Okay, here we go. Talk about this one. 23 first and the third, enough for Pittman?
Geez. Is a 23 first and a third enough for Pittman? I think for most people that is. And boy, I don't know. I don't know if I would take Pittman or a 23 first, because you really have to believe that Pittman is going to break out this year. Because like if he doesn't and he gets Terry McLaurin, everybody's taking that 23 first, right?
Everybody.
I think he's in a solid situation. I just don't like, and I know Matt Ryan is an upgrade. I just don't know if he's an upgrade enough to warrant the current price that Michael Pittman is right now.
Gosh. I feel like Pittman is pretty high on the list of, like, if I could know the outcome of what one player was going to do,
it would be Pittman
this year. He's pretty high up there, because I can see a scenario where with Matt Ryan, he's got 150 targets, and
he is Calvin Ridley.
Yeah. But then I can also see a scenario where he's nothing, like he's not nothing, but I mean, like, he's trying to think of another good example of how he could fall off or who that would be. But
I mean, basically the last couple people that really disappointed based on the hype that they got were like Juju and Terry McLaurin. DJ Moore
McLaurin's pretty good.
disappointed based on the price that he got to, but he's still great, you know? Yeah, Ridley upside for the Pittman-Ryan connection. Yeah. Like, if that's actually what's going to happen here, then I'm taking Pittman over the 23 first.
Right. If I could know that. I just don't, oh gosh, I don't know that I'm going to invest in that.
Apparently, I mean, every report out of camp is just saying that Pittman is just lighting everything up. And it also helps that he plays Jacksonville and Houston for 4 games. So
it does. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Jaden says, great show, y'all. Have a great night. And before my, see, Spider-Man at Epic.
Oh, at Epic?
Wisconsin. Yeah.
That was one thing that my wife and I, we wanted to go see the campus because apparently it's insane. Their campus that they have over there, because like the CEO or whoever is like a total nerd. Hey, let's go. Love some Penn State hype. But yeah, apparently like the Epic campus has like, it's got like a Harry Potter thing going on and like a Star Trek thing going on. We never made it over there, even though we live like 20 minutes away from it. But man, well, if I'd have known that there was a Spider-Man statue at the Epic Healthcare.
Oh, the fake out. Oh. K-Mac.
Blocked.
He's going to block you. Nobody asked us non-fantasy questions. Like, I feel like we get a lot of non-fantasy questions every week. But...
All right, we'll end it on this one because this was and you might have seen this on Twitter. Who's the greatest MLB player of all time?
Barry Bonds.
Damn it, Cal.
Who do you say? Pittsburgh.
Okay, so my answer is Hank Aaron. My answer is Hank Aaron.
Oh gosh, I could go a long way before I mention Hank Aaron.
Wow. So I tweeted out
the Braves.
Go ahead.
And Hank Aaron.
So I tweeted out my one friend, diehard Cardinals fan, loves them and everything. So he's been telling me for the past like 2 years that if/when Pujols hits 700, he has a bid for the GOAT because he's like, it's like a LeBron James kind of thing where it's like, you know, all-time hits, Pujols like 4th, and then it's like all-time like extra bases, Pujols 3rd, and all-time home runs, Pujols would be like 4th. You know, RBIs, Pujols is like top 5, like all that kind of stuff. So, so that was, and so whenever Pujols hit, he hit like 693, I think, last night. So I shared that on Twitter that my friend said that, and it roused up some Barry Bonds fans. I'll tell you that.
That's funny. So when I said Bonds, it was like, but you're in Pittsburgh. How could you not like his seasons in Pittsburgh are?
Because I wasn't alive, Cal.
That's true. Barry Bonds, the thing that I was trying to look up and see, and I don't see the number, but he also had Gold Gloves, and that's part of the thing that you didn't get.
Yeah. So that's what a lot of people were arguing, was that Bonds has the awards.
Yeah.
Well,
he's a good defensive player,
big one, and the defensive stuff. So it's just kind of like Bonds has a lot of it.
All right, I'm excited to listen to what Addison has to say about my setup, and I appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week. Addison, any last words?
Professor Chaos, I will take Pittman in the first.
There you go. Have a good night. See y'all next week.